Aloha, everyone. I want to report something that just happened to me, which I think we need to, as human beings, be on top of. Let me just give you the story. So, I have been living in a house with two men, and they have been harassing me for many months. It was okay. I was been there for 3 years, and it was okay until a tenant came, Tom Rowden, and he decided, after schmoozing his way in, he decided that I had to go. He didn't like me being there. He didn't give a reason. He just wanted me out because he and his and cohort, who was another Tom Jones, living in the house with me, um, they were doing all sorts of things that they didn't want, me in the way for, because they were we live in a house and everything is paid for. The man who owns the house wants us there to look after the house. That's what I came for. I came there to look after the house while he was out of state. And his name is Dave. And the Tom Jones was okay before Tom Rowden came, but when Tom Rowden came, he had a sort of like an ally, and they ganged up on me. And Tom Jones became very aggressive towards me. I would go downstairs. There was no fighting, but I would just go downstairs, and he'd he'd call me the C word just from going downstairs, and he'd come right into my face, right into my face, and say it as I'm walking past him. I'm a peaceful person, but they were trying to get rid of me out of the house. So they were goading me, and they would stand at the bottom of the staircase. And my room is at the top, and I stayed mostly in my room on the second floor. And they would talk about how that I'm going to have to go, and there's definitely they're going to I'm definitely going to go, and they'd talk about all these things. I didn't want to hear them. I would close the door. It was threatening, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And they would, Tom Rowden especially, would have things around the house to sort of threaten, like he had a machete, and he would stick it into the wood where I worked in the garden, on the deck. And he would always sabotage my work. I was there to do the gardening. He would always sabotage my work. He would put junk. He brought all his junk over to the house, totally disregarding our property. He steals property. He takes property. He just does whatever he likes. He has no regard for property. And so they were quiet. They would put music on really loud in the middle of the night. They were really bad, like really bad neighbors. But they were living in the same house. They had no regard for a common space. They used up all the space downstairs. I had to move all my stuff from downstairs and put it upstairs because Tom Rowden would take it. He would just move it. He moves everybody's stuff. He moves the owner's stuff. He has no regard for anybody's property, and he's made the property look like a junkyard, with all his stuff. He has no care about things like that. Anyway, that's what I was living through the last few months. And on this last day that I was there, it was at night time. This is what happened. I was making some yogurt. It sounds petty, but I was making some yogurt in the oven. The oven was off, but there was a light on. The light was keeping the culture alive, and just to grow rather. And Tom Jones kept turning it off. Now they leave lights on all night and all day, but they're onto everything I do. So he kept turning it off, as though making out that I was wasting electricity. So I said to him, which I don't do at all. They do, but and they leave doors open while the heating's on. They use up the owner's heating. They just don't care. And I'm very conscious of energy use. And this day, um, I said to him the day before the incident, I said to him, there's no need to turn off the oven light because I'm using it to culture some yogurt. So he was fine. He didn't turn it off. And then the next day, the culture was still in there, but I made a mistake. It's sort of a mistake. I put the jar in a plastic tray so that if there's any spills, if it comes over or anything like that, go on the oven. But I shouldn't have put the plastic in there. That's true. I put the culture right up the front, and the light was on. But he is an alcoholic, and his brain is going, and he doesn't look. He doesn't look. He just turned the oven on. They went shopping. They came home at night time, and he turned the oven on without looking. I was in my room. I didn't know all this was going on. I was in my room doing my own thing. Then I hear a knock at the door. When they came, I just closed the door. And he knocked at the door, and he said, "Didn't anybody tell you not to put plastic in the oven?" I said, I was trying to just get my mind into gear what he was talking about, and then I realized, oh, did I turn the oven on? I thought, did I make a mistake and turn the oven on? And I thought about it for a while. He's raving at me and saying, "Didn't anybody tell you this? Didn't anybody tell you?" And he's going on like that, and loud, really loud. And I walked downstairs to see what was going on. I thought, oh, wow, something terrible. And I thought I'd turn the oven on. But then I thought, no, I didn't turn the oven on. And then I thought, oh, you turned the oven on. And I was trying to tell him that, but he wouldn't listen to me. He was in my face like this, right up to my face. He pushes himself into my space. And he has had me in a headlock once before. And he was going to punch me in the head. Like, great fun, huh? Anyway, I'm pretty strong, and I can. And it was only through Tom Rowden's saying, "It's not worth it, Tom. Don't do it. Don't do it." 2-on-1 they were doing onto me the whole time for months. And anyway, this night he was right in my face, and I smashed him in the face. I said, "Get out of my face!" And then I went upstairs, and he said, "I'm calling the cops on you." They've called the cops on me. This is the third time in just an argument like that, where they're both of them against me, ganging up against me. But they call the cops, and the cops come every time. They waste taxpayers' money this way. They're just coming for nothing. And I've said to them, "You're wasting your time." Anyway, I'm not on the system. I don't want to be on the system. I have nothing but contempt for the system, and this is why. And this is what they do to other people too, who bow and fawn at the system, but I don't. And anyway, so it was like about 2 o'clock in the morning, and the police came to the door, and they had these papers, a whole bunch of papers, like I've been using them. I've been using them for writing notes on how worthless they are. But he said that the judge has signed this notice of eviction. That's what he said. I said, "Notice of eviction? What?" Anyway, that's what the cop said, but really it was a restraining order. He didn't say that, though. He didn't say that. And he said, "We have to evict you. And so get your things. You've got 10 minutes." And we argued a bit, and I said, "This is ridiculous." And, why, well, how can you write something out, an order, when you haven't even verified the claims that the person made? I mean, this is a total waste of time. And he said, "Well, you'll be able to give your case at the hearing." That was like 2 weeks away, and they were ejecting me from the home at 2:30 in the morning. I have a little small dog as well, and I had to wait till sunrise, and then I went to see a neighbor about this, and they took me in. His mother took me in for a few days, but I'm going a few days here, a few days at different places. Basically, they've put me out on the streets. And now at the hearing, I went to the hearing to have my say at least, and they wouldn't hear me. I have a recording now. My internet connection wasn't good, but these are things that they have to account for. They can't just plop you here and plop you there. There's nobody to call. That they keep you waiting. They keep you waiting. Like the hearing was at 8:30, and they didn't do it until about I don't know, probably 40 minutes or more after. Why can't they make the hearings at proper times, appointments? They have nothing but contempt for you, dear friend, dear neighbor, dear American. They have nothing but contempt for us. So the system is really egregious, especially towards women, because it is mainly a man's run system, but it's also bad for men because it does the dirty on men as well. And I want you to know that so far I have not had my say at all. What they've done is they've made another hearing for a, another week or two away, and they say I have to be there, be present. And the thing is, I don't have a car. Now, this is my situation. So they don't care about your situation. If you were really sick or disabled, they care, but they discriminate. They're discriminating uh, to me. They've been discriminatory towards me. So they'll do that to you too. And I know of somebody who actually got a jail sentence for years and who wasn't even guilty of the charge. And this happens a lot. And that was a man. So it's no good for anyone. And it's time that we started paying attention to this, because you might be fine like I was for a while, but eventually somebody might just have a grudge against you, just like these guys have a grudge against me. But I haven't done anything to them. They just got a grudge against me because they want to be able to have their free reign of a house that doesn't belong to them and that they have absolutely no respect for. So I want you to know about that. And please contact me if you like, any questions, and let's get together and talk about this, and start noticing what's going on in our world, in the world around us. This is in Vermont, in a small town in Vermont. This happens in lots of towns, in lots of places, and everybody is just bowing and fawning to the police. And the police are actually the enemies of the public. They have nothing but contempt. They are responsible for their actions. Just because some judge wrote on a piece of paper does not make it real. They are in the fictitious world, and they're trying to make us fall for it. So if you are believing that we have to have laws like this, then you are falling for a fiction, and they are persecuting a lot of people because most people think we have to have laws. We have to have uh, civility, and we have to have order. I agree with that. But we don't have to have these ridiculous, massive amounts of laws. We only need a very, very few to live. We're quite capable of taking care of ourselves. We're not children that have to be spoken to as though, we have people over us. We have to speak to each other as equals. I hope you understand my case. A lot of the time people say, oh, well, she deserved it, or she shouldn't have lived there. Actually, they shouldn't be living there because they are the perpetrators of violence. And we are bowing too much to violence. And that is just giving sociopaths and psychopaths encouragement to lord it over us, peaceful people. We have to have each other to stand up to them. Otherwise, they are going to run rampant all over the place. They're doing it now. It's okay if everybody obeys, but if you want to do something and it's not harming anybody and it's against some law that somebody wrote down somewhere, they will intercept your life and make your life hell. They have actually threatened my life by ejecting me from my home. That they have threatened my life because I'm now under existential threat. We've got to understand this. This is a violence that is perpetrated upon us. And they didn't even hear the other side of the story. They did. So anybody can make any claim against you. And this is what would happen. They only have to call the police. Calling the police means that um, you are their client and they will work for you. It's like having a thug squad, and people with bad intention will use it. So I'm just saying, yes, you're fine for now, but if somebody has something against you, you might not be fine. In fact, you probably will be on the losing end of the stick, just like I am. But if we know about these things, we have power. If we talk about these things, we have power. We must not back down from this. This is like sociopaths running the asylum. Thanks for listening, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's very serious. It hasn't gotten to, I've managed to get through it so far, but this is not right to put this upon someone who is peaceful and who cares about community, who's always done the right thing. I've always done the right thing. I've never done anything wrong. But, this is how they can ruin your life so much. Adios and all the best for now.